Hi guys, in the end of this video you will be able to make decisions in your Java program like checking the age, temperature or login access. So I will show you how to use if, else nested conditions and ternary operator, all with simple clear examples. So let's begin. In programming, we often want the code to choose a path depending on data. In Java, we use conditional statements to do that, also like in other programming languages. So you can think of it like, if it's raining, take an umbrella, otherwise don't. That's exactly how if-else works in code. And we will go step by step from basic if to more advanced forms with real-life examples. So if statement is in the following syntax. In the beginning, you declare the if keyword, and in parentheses, you put the condition, and inside the curly brackets, you define your code when this condition is true. So a condition must evaluate to a boolean, either a true or a false. And you can use comparison operators like, I don't know, less than or greater than, or vice versa, greater equal or less than equal, equal or not equal. So you can use these comparison operators to build your condition statement. So if you watched the previous video, you will maybe remember that we have declared and initialized integer values which we called x to 10 and integer epsilon to 5. And what we can do here is that we can compare these values like x greater than epsilon, and if that's true, then we will execute basically the system out print line, a basic operation to print any string on your console below. So let's do that. X is greater than epsilon, and if you execute that, voila, you will see the output right below here. So what happened is that here x, which is 10, is obviously greater than epsilon 5, so that's why the message is printed, right? So what happens if that's false? So let's turn around the table and say not greater but less. Let's execute that. You will see that you will see nothing or get no output here, right? And the reason is because this condition is not met anymore. And that's the reason why this code inside the curly brackets is not executed. But to do at least something else, when this condition does not match, is to use the else keyword, which says basically if this does not match, then else execute that part of the code. And here we can say, okay, system out print line, x is not greater than epsilon, right? Because we are negating the condition. And if we execute that, you will see that is not string is executed or printed out here. So once again, you declare an if statement. Inside the if statement, you put your condition. You can also logically chain your conditions, but I will show that in the further video courses. But for now, only one condition we have to match here is enough. And the code, when you match this code, is being executed, or otherwise that part is being executed. So if keyword is the one part, else keyword is the other part, but there's also another part which you use when you chain or nest if else statements, and it's called else if. And inside the else if, you have to put your second condition as well, like say, I don't know, let's define time greater than, and maybe initial time. We delete examples above here and say, okay, when time here is less than 10, then we say good morning. But else if we then check a second time the operation or the condition in which we say time is less than 18, then we say good afternoon. And also this condition is not met, then else it's obviously a good evening in that time, right? We execute that, you will see that it's a good morning in the output. And if we change the time and say 11, let's execute, it's an afternoon. And if we go further, say 19, it's basically else than 18 and 10, let's execute, and it's an evening. So you get the idea. You can chain statements with else-if statements when you want to check furthermore conditions, and if nothing matches any condition, then else this part of this code being executed. So that's all about if, else-if, and else statements. So there is also another concept which is basically called the nested if statement. So you can base an if statement inside another if, or inside another else, or else if, and so on. Useful when you have one decision depends on another. So you can basically chain or nest this if statements. So let's make an example and say, I don't know, let's initialize another variable which is 20. Boolean value is citizen, and it's a true value. And we say in the first case, if age is greater equal 18, then execute that code. And if we are above 18 and equal, then we want to check if we are citizen. If we are citizen, so basically it is true here, right? And then execute system out print line. You can vote, right? For 18, you can vote, or you can, I don't know, depends on country, you can smoke, drink alcohol, and so on. And if you are not for 18, then system out print line. You must citizen to vote. Otherwise, you can't vote, right? And so basically, we nested if-else statements inside the first if statement. And if the first if statement does not match, then we can also execute here another else statement in which we say, okay, system out print line not old enough to vote. And let's execute. You can vote. If you're not citizen, you must be citizen to vote. As you can't, even you are 18 and above. So we could also not 17, and we will not go inside here and not execute it at all, because this condition here does not fit or match. So that's the reason why no, not old enough to vote here. So you can infinitely chain if-else statements as you desire, but in the real life examples or real life applications, probably to do that, there's also other patterns or best practices to handle that. So keep in mind, nesting too much is not good, but you can do that in some cases. And other than else statements, there's another which fulfills maybe if else as well, an binary operator. So the concept is it's kind of simple decision or operator that Java offers to match the behavior of the if-else statement. So to give you an example, let's delete all that and say our integer, or let's say first the concept is variable equal condition, and if the condition matches, then this is the real value you want. If it does not match, then that's the other value you want to use to assign on that variable. Okay, so that's the syntax basically. So let's make an example and say integer type equal 20 and string greeting equal, and if the condition matches, time is below 18, let's say, if does this match, then the string shall be good day. And we got that must be a question mark, good day, double points, maybe it sounds a bit German. Another string, and then if this condition does not match, then it's a good evening. Finish that statement with a semicolon. So let's print that out. Let's say greeting, execute that. You will get a good evening because the time is 20. If the time is below 18, then take good day. Not the case here because it's 20. So if this does not match, then it's a good evening. And if we say 17, execute that, and then it's a good day because time is below 17, right? So a few minutes ago, I told you that you can chain conditions together. And to do that, you can use the logic operators. And the logic operators are basically double AND to make the AND condition or chain the conditions with AND, or with double lines to do an or negate for a not. You use basically these operators. So to show you an example, let's get rid of this code or examples here and initialize another variable which we call age 25, and maybe another one boolean is citizen, and the value is false. And as we did in the previous example, we say if parenthesis age greater equal to 18, and then we can chain another condition by using the AND operator and say is citizen, and then curly brackets. Let's print it out. and you are liable to vote if this is matching, or if these both conditions are matching. And else, as we did before, system.println, you are not liable to vote. And if you execute that, you will see that you are not liable, right, to vote, because we are 25, of course, is true that we are above 18, but it's false whether I'm a citizen. So this condition here does not match. So in summarize, again, this is true, but this value is not matching because a citizen is false, right? We can also say, okay, let's delete that AND operator and say OR. So basically we are saying if this condition does not match, then check this condition, but if this is true, then execute that code. So we are basically asking either one of those conditions have to match to execute that code. So let's do that. Whether it's this case, yes, it is the case, because as we said, this one is true, but this not is false. And we can also say, or use the not operator, delete age condition, and use or negate this variable. And if we execute that, you are liable to vote, right? Because a citizen is false and we are negating it, so making it basically true to execute that code. And voila, you learned something new. So I hope you liked the video. If yes, like and subscribe. And I would really appreciate that. Stay tuned in the channel. Don't watch only the examples. Also try to do it by yourself. That's the best way to learn how to code. Thank you. Then goodbye.